G'day, welcome back to the Heritage Recreations YouTube channel. Today we're going to be featuring the E1 GTS by HSV. This range started in August of 2006 and it's based on the VE platform Holden Commodore. So today we're going to be reviewing why we should be buying this HSV GTS, the difference between the VE GTS and the VE Club Sport, and why the VE range was so successful. Now the VE was developed in 2006 and it was called the billion-dollar baby because it was a significant investment by Holden's in the new platform. So the previous platform ran from the VN range all through to the VS range, and then VT through to the VZ range, and then the VE platform was brand new. Now the platform for the VE, that ran all the way through to the final VF, which concluded when Holden's wrapped up here in South Australia. So a huge investment was put in by Holden's to try and have this car compete against the European marquees, such as the BMW and Mercedes. And we think they got this part of the car right. Now, there's a couple of subtle differences exterior-wise in relation to the GTS and the Club Sport. One of the telltale signs you can determine which one's which is through the GTS and Club Sport badges. So the GTS badge on the flute is different to the Club Sport. So the Club Sport has actually got the badge on the rear doors at the bottom. Another telltale sign, if you can't see the back of the car, is the bonnet filler panel on GTS's are a matte black, where they're normally color coded on a Club Sport. Also, the flutes in the guards are matte black as well, and the pole for the boot spoiler on either side is also matte black on the GTS. So there are a few telltale signs externally to be able to determine which one is which. And now when it comes to the stopping power of the VE GTS or the VE range of the HSV, they come with the AP Racing 4-pot calipers with the 365mm rotors in the front and the 350mm rotors on the back. The difference between the VE GTS and VE Club Sport is actually the wheel size. They fit a 19-inch on the Club Sports, where the GTSs come with the 20-inch wheels, 245 front, 275 rears. The other difference between the Club Sport and the GTS is the GTS is fitted with a magnetic ride control suspension. This car's actually had the MRC removed because when we got the car, the MRC wasn't working properly. And all the reviews said that if we replaced it, A, it was going to be expensive, B, it wasn't guaranteed to last for a long period of time. So this car has actually been replaced with the Petters coilover suspension, and it has actually worked really well on this car. So that upgrade has been nice. We have kept the MRC suspension in case it can be refurbished at some stage, so we haven't thrown that away. However, for the time being, we're settled on the Petters coilovers. Now you might ask yourself why the VE HSV range has been so successful. Well, there's a number of reasons behind it. First and foremost, it cost an estimated $4 million for HSV to develop the magnetic ride control suspension. As I said, it's been removed off of this car. But the tail lights in the VE GTS, they were also a big dollar investment by HSV. It's rumoured that the development of the tail light for this car cost in the vicinity of $10 million just in the development phase. So with the earlier HSV models, they could be easily copied using fiberglass body kits. But the reality is, in order to change a V8 SS Commodore into a VE Club Sport replica, it was going to cost you way too much money to do that. So I think HSV got it right by developing the lights and the body kit they did in the way they have with this car. Now moving into the interior of the VE GTS, the seat upgrade in the GTS is significant compared to the Club Sport. So it's just far more contoured. Same as the Club Sport, they actually come with an 8-way electric system. So forward, back, up, down and tilt on various degrees. The steering wheel for the VE HSV is the same between the Club Sport, Senator and the GTS. This steering wheel has been refurbished by the actual guy that actually did them for HSV back in the day. So this one's only been on the car for the last 12 months. And if you look at them in this section here, in all the second-hand HSVs you see for sale, those areas typically fail. This one was no different, so it's all been repaired now, and we've actually got a spare new one sitting at home in a bag just in case. The other failings with these cars are the hood linings tend to let go. That's what happened to us last week. A majority of the head lining fell on us, so last minute we actually got it repaired. And the door trims have some problems with the leather. The leather tends to dry. If you can have a look here, it tends to dry out and it makes the leather shrink, which is exactly what it's done here. The paint up around the dashboard area, so there was some satin black paint on here that has also peeled on this side. On the other side it's still intact, but that's another thing which is a bit of an issue for the interior of the VE. But other than that, everything works really well. We've got the 3 gauges, which has got the alternator on the left, it's got the oil temperature in the middle, it's actually got the oil pressure on the right. Then you've got the HSV specific gauges, you've got the rev gauge on the left and your speedo on the right, and then a pretty good LCD display in the middle. Now when it comes to the stereo system, they actually got it wrong in this car. It is a blowout puncture, it does sound good when it's working. However, there's a lot of different issues with the stereo. I'll see if I can get it working now. When you fire it up, I think it's got something to do with the faceplate, so it tends to knock the noise around quite a bit. And actually, I'll see if I can fire it up. I'll just get the colours, I'll show you what I mean. So it obviously comes up with the build number of the car, which is build number 385. And I'll see if I can get some music playing on it. Okay, so if you just even give an impact on the side, all right, you see it there, just a slight impact on the side, and it's actually made the stereo system switch off. And there it goes again. It also changes the colour of the stereo system. It'll go to a pink colour. As we go over bumps, it'll make different speakers in the car switch off. It actually is quite annoying. Talking about the MRC, this is the MRC switch here. It's obviously been disabled on this car because it's now running the PETA's coilovers, but that's the switch there. So in the GTS it had the track mode and it also had the street mode, where the Senator, which is also fitted with the MRC, had comfort and sports mode. So it actually didn't have the track settings that the GTS did, obviously because it's more of a luxury version of the HSV. Okay, so here we are back in the cabin of the E1 HSV GTS, and obviously we're discussing the differences between the E1 Club Sport and the GTS and whether you'd actually buy one or not, and a bit of a road test on the car. This car's had a few issues with it along the way, which seemed to be a common fault with these cars. One of them was the clutch. When you'd have some spirited acceleration, first, second, third gear, it would actually drop clutch pressure and the clutch pedal would drop to the ground. You actually have to put your foot underneath it, pull it back up again, and hopefully get some hydraulics back into it. So once I spoke to Holden's about this issue, there was a spring which came as a retrofitted replacement item for the clutch pedal itself. So that's been fitted to the car, and yes, it has fixed the problem. So it goes to show that was obviously what the issue was. As I said to you before, obviously we've got the issues with the faceplate of the stereo. The other thing is, when you first start the car, it actually goes through a systems check. What was happening, you'd fire the car up, it obviously goes through a system check. One of the actuators right up and just in front of the speaker there was going tick, 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 and then stopping. So that's had to be replaced. We've had a couple of other issues, obviously with the suspension, like I spoke to you about. The MRC eventually failed. Now we've got the headers coilovers. But the reality is this car is the equivalent in 2006 to what a C63 AMG is now. This car's been in storage at the storage yard for the last 16 months. I've just returned it to the road, and when some of my friends have seen the car, they didn't know I owned the car, they asked me what year it was, and when I say it's a 2006, most people are quietly surprised because it's such a modern looking car. So the VE, $1 billion baby, and the most successful V8 supercar in history. Okay, that's only seconded by the VF, and then obviously the ZB has a pretty long record, but that is because it had to remain in service for a longer period of time. So the reality is the VE was built with the foundations of $1 billion budget. HSV went to the effort of making a lot of refinements with the car, with the suspension, braking, and the engine itself. Would I buy one? Well, the proof is that we've already got one. Would I keep it? Well, yes, we are going to keep the car because it's such a lovely car to drive. So the reality is, guys, if you're looking for a VE HSV, would it be a Club Sport or would it be a GTS? The reality is you can get a GTS almost for the same money as you can get a Club Sport, but the interior is far better than the Club Sport itself, and I think that is probably one of the main reasons that you would choose the GTS. So anyway, guys, thank you for following us here at the Heritage Recreations YouTube channel. We hope you've enjoyed this brief look into the VE GTS. Please subscribe for some more feature videos which are coming up soon, and hopefully we'll have a bit more of an update on the VR HSV Club Sport. Bye for now.